Hello and welcome to my channel Knitting Books etc. My name is Cristina and I come to you from Lisbon, Portugal. So today I'm going to do tag and I have to check it's the Interrail Eurorail book tag part 1 that was created by Mark from Book Times with Elvis. So I'm starting immediately with the prompts. So prompts: you begin your journey in London. Dr. Johnson said, when a man is tired of London, he is tired of life, for there is in London all that life can afford. What book can you read, reread and read again and again throughout your life? So there are many books like this. I can name, first of all, the novels by Jane Austen, and it's a fact, I have been rereading them every year, I think, since I remember. Some more than others, so Emma, which is my favorite, I read more often. The Sherlock Holmes stories, from time to time I reread them. And this year there's a new favorite which I think I'm going to reread forever and ever, which is The Divine Comedy by Dante Alighieri. Next prompt. Sherlock Holmes lived at 221B Baker Street. Have you ever visited the home of an imaginary character, and if so, whose? Well, I visited 221B Baker Street. I visited his sitting room, and I remember that it was when I went there, then I went to the tube station, Baker Street, I think, and it smelled divinely of coffee, just like the coffee we drink here in Lisbon. Normally it's espresso, and there was a shop there which was Costa, and it even had some cakes that here people also eat with coffee. Very, very funny. I remember so well, but I remember that I think that I didn't want to go into the tube station. I just went because I felt the smell of the coffee. I remember very well. Harris asked me if I'd ever been in the maze at Hampton Court. Jerome K Jerome. Have you ever been lost in a book and not in a good way? Did you completely lose the plot and not have the slightest idea of what was going on? Please give an example. So, some years ago, a friend of mine was translating a sci-fi book, and he said that the book was quite bad, and because even the author forgot that, for example, there was a character that had already been introduced, but the author forgot and reintroduced the character and stuff like that. And because of that, I picked up a book which was, I don't even remember the name of the author, but it was a book from the same collection which had already been translated into Portuguese, and the translation was so bad because there was I guess that the person who translated didn't even know English, because there are several mentions of so the story was there was people in the military and there was army forces and so on, and he translated the phrase general staff as if it were a person, so general. And he even, of course, there were lots of references to the general staff, and at a certain point, the translator wrote a note which said that, strangely enough, that general seemed to be omnipresent because he was in several places at the same time. So it was amazing. You head to St Pancras and board Eurostar to Paris, and within a couple of hours you arrived at the Gare du Nord. The Père Lachaise Cemetery is on your itinerary. Have you been there, or have you ever made a pilgrimage to any literary site? What are some of the best historical sites that you have visited? I haven't visited many. I remember that when I was in London, we went, our class, we had a class which was modern novel in English, and we went to Hampstead Heath visited Keats' house. I remember that. And here in Portugal, I also remember visiting some authors' houses with school as well. Gertrude Stein famously said, "America is my country and Paris is my hometown." What is your country? What town other than your own have you felt at home in? So the only town I felt at home in was London, because I lived there for some months, and I actually am one of those people that are always quoting Dr. Johnson, because there is always something to do in London. I remember going to lots of events not related to books and literature, that's my thing, and going to the theater, everything. I love it there. Cafes are everywhere in Paris. I like to sit in one for a couple of hours, skimming through a book and people watching. If you have been to Paris, where is your favorite place to visit and favorite things to do there? If you haven't been to Paris, would you like to? And what would you most like to see and do there? Yes, I haven't been to Paris and I would like to. Places, I don't know. Walk around, sit at a cafe. I don't sit for a long time because I am very, I don't know, I cannot be in the same place for a long time because I don't know, it's not my thing. But I like to drink coffee, so I wouldn't mind sitting at a cafe for some time. And then, of course, walking in all those places that we read about in books. Also, I remember that when I was studying French in school, we mentioned not only the Louvre, the museum, which I would like to visit, but also the Centre Pompidou, and I would like to visit that as well. After a few days of eating pain au chocolat and drinking one too many café au lait, you decide to head south. You head to the Gare de Lyon and board the train to Madrid. It will take you 11 hours and 26 minutes, and you will travel 654 miles, 1052 kilometers. What is the longest train journey you have ever taken? Well, I once went to stay at some friend's house in the north of Portugal, in Porto, and then we went even a little bit to a place nearby. So when I came back to Lisbon, I took the train from Espinho, which is a little bit north of Porto. And I remember that it was the summer. I was carrying too much luggage because I had been there for almost 2 months. And they also said that it was not a very comfortable train, so they told me to buy a first class ticket. My only time I did that. And so I was there in a very quiet place in first class. There was only another person in that place where I was. Those tiny sections, I don't know how you call them. And for the first time in my life, I was almost asleep while in transit. And then I heard a voice that said that there had been a problem with a train that had came out of the rails, the train before mine, and so the line was, they couldn't go on in that line, so we had to get out of the train. So now imagine what I expected was that my father at the time would be waiting for me, which in truth he was, and so I wouldn't have any problems with my luggage. But because of that, I had to get out of the train, and then we had to go to another train, and then we get to get out of the train again and go to a bus, and then we had to get out of the bus and go to another train that was waiting for everyone that came from the trains that couldn't go on. So fortunately my father, who was I was so tired that I couldn't carry, fortunately everyone helped me, because I remember trying to put my things on a top shelf, and I couldn't because my arms were too tired. And we were in town in not very far away from Lisbon, but it's Vila Franca where the train this last train was. And my father, who was waiting for me here in Lisbon, noticed that there was a problem and asked in the railway station what the problem was. And he then learned that there was a train in Vila Franca where people were waiting. So he went there and found me in the train, and so brought me back, because all the other people were still in the train waiting for the rest of the trip. So it was a very, very long trip, and of course I didn't finish it because my father went and fetched me there, but that was a very long train travel. Not hopefully what I would like to, because I would, here it says, have you any favorite books or films set on trains? I have read some which are non-fiction films about travel writing. I remember reading one which was by Michael Pollan, where it's kind of an around the world, but it's by train. And I also read a book by that Bill Bryson, where he goes around Great Britain. But I also read, of course, Agatha Christie's Crime on the Orient Express, and I have always thought that, because train is my favorite type of public transportation, because it's the only place where I don't get motion sickness, and I can eat and I can read. There's no problems. If it's a train, not those modern trains that are here, they are called, they are hanging, so they are not on rails. I don't like those, because those do cause motion sickness, but the regular trains don't. So I always wanted to do that long Orient Express voyage or trip that goes, I think it's from Venice to Siberia or Moscow or even further, I don't remember. And do other long travels. For example, I live nearby a train station that sometimes have trains that go to Paris. So I wouldn't mind go to Paris and then take the Eurostar and go to London by train. You are lucky that you can ride in comfort through France and over the Pyrenees into Spain. Unlike Captain Jack Aubrey, post-captain, I think it's the second book, who had to don a bear suit and answer to the name of Flora to cross the mountains. Have you got a favorite book featuring a manhunt and or a subterfuge? So I am awful trying to remember scenes from books I read, but then I remember the first novel featuring Sherlock Holmes, which is A Study in Scarlet. Tells a story of some people running away and being hunted down by a group of religious fanatics or something like that. The Spanish national anthem famously does not have any words. If you have seen them singing at football matches, they are really just humming along to a tune. What is your favorite instrumental only piece of music? Are you prone to whistling? I'm not prone to whistling. I'm very bad at it. I was better before, but I haven't whistled for a long time. And I don't know, I like classical music, so many pieces of music don't have words. As far as I remember, as related to books and films, actually, I remember watching in the cinema. It was a rerun, it was not a premiere, because I wasn't born when the film came out, but it was the 20,000 Leagues Under the Sea with James Mason as Captain Nemo, and I remember that there is a scene where he's playing a piece of music which is Bach's Toccata and Fugue in D minor, and I never forgot. That was so fascinating to me that forever and ever I was fascinated by organs, and I still like just to see those the organ itself, the musical instrument, and to listen to that type of music. So Bach has lots of pieces of music that are played in an organ, I think. So Cronos / Saturn, Devouring His Son by Francisco Goya, is to my mind one of the most disturbing paintings I have seen. You can see it too if you visit the Prado Museum in Madrid. What is one of the most disturbing books and or paintings that you have seen? So there is a Brazilian artist called Fábio Magalhães, and he has some paintings that look like photographs, so they are very realistic paintings of body parts of human beings. So they are not my favorite type of paintings at all. So I will leave a link to some of his paintings in the description box. Watching Cronos having his dinner has given you an appetite, so you repair to a restaurant to try Spain's national dish, the paella. If I were to visit your hometown, what restaurant would you take me to, and what would be the dish you would most recommend? So I would have to ask other people friends and family, because I hardly ever go to a restaurant. But in the seaside town where I spend my holidays, and well, I will be going next week, there are several restaurants where you can have fresh fish and shellfish, and they are quite good. The dishes, there is a very famous saying that there are more than 1001 ways of cooking salted cod. It's one of the famous types of dishes that people eat here. So we import the cod from Norway. Nowadays, I think that they even it's the only place, we are the only ones to buy the salted cod where it's dried, and it's dried with salt only. Not, we don't mind that it turns black, because I heard that nowadays some other countries people don't like the black color, and so there is another process to dry the cod. We buy it only salted, and it comes from, there are very famous big packets of cod from Norway, which is bought here by the Portuguese, and there is several books with more than 1000 recipes with dried cod, and some they are always good. They are always good, and it's very, very good, no doubt. Again, I think that many people, there are people who liked it a lot, some other people don't, but we are, I think it's fantastic. We will pause in our journey for now, but if you have enjoyed it up to now, we will continue in the near future. So Mark has already released a part 2 of this voyage. I'm sorry. Please take some people, and also feel free, as always, to edit, change, or add your own questions to this tag. So I'm going to tag Ross at Scallydangling about the books. This is a good Scallydangling tag. And Jim from Books, Reading and Stuff. And I know that, where is it? I remember that Mark at the end, he says, next time we will move further west on the Iberian Peninsula and head to Portugal. Until then, and then he said 2 words in Portuguese, which means see you later, but the pronunciation, he asked about the pronunciation. The pronunciation Mark used is the Brazilian pronunciation, because Mark said até mais, and that's a Brazilian pronunciation. We don't say até, we say até, because the first it's a little bit stronger than a schwa, but it's the same sound. It's stronger because it's the syllable te, a te, and then we in the Iberian Portuguese has many more sounds than the Brazilian one. So where they have a, we have a. So these 3 sounds, they are produced in the same position but in several heights. I loved phonology and phonetics when I was at school. That's why I'm here boring you with these details. Also, they say mais and we say mais. So it's, some people say more j and others sh sound. So it's até mais. Of course, we tend to talk with our mouth much closer than the Brazilian Portuguese. And so, até mais. See you later.